Welcome back to One on One with Mr. U. Of course, I am your host, Mr. U. Glad to have you guys watching and listening today. In studio with us, Cherita O'dell, transformational speaker, former Olympic athlete, and author of Good God, a single girl's rocky path to finding true love. If you guys are watching, listening for the very first time, first off, thanks for making us part of your week. We are live on YouTube and Facebook. And of course, we'll be live on all listening platforms after a little bit. But thanks again for joining us. And for Cherita, good to have you here with us. How are you?
I am good. Absolute pleasure to be here. Looking forward to having a great chat.
Same here, same here. So we had an interesting conversation for a lot of different reasons. When we first met, I want to spend some time definitely talking about that. I think my mom is watching us today, so I got to get into it. But the first thing that struck me that was like, wow, the wow moment was that you're from Barbados.
Yes.
If I understand right, you're from St. James. Is that right?
That's correct.
You still there now?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. I got a lot of questions about it, but my mom is from an area called Christchurch. Don't know if you know it, but when I told her you're going to be on, she got excited, and now she's watching the show. I thought she was watching the show all the time, but today I know she's watching the show, so I'm excited about any questions she may have for you or just a discussion. But you talk a lot about, I guess, your background in regards to Barbados and unexpected setbacks you had in your life, and just kind of being, I guess what you call a transformational speaker. Tell me a little bit about your background, your childhood, kind of what you think is the key factor that brought you from who you were as a young person to who you are today as an adult and as a leader in the areas where you lead. What were some key factors from that piece it together for us? Kind of what brought it together?
Sure. Well, going all the way back to childhood, I had a fantastic childhood. I can't complain at all. I grew up with boys. Imagine being on a street with a dozen boys and me. So that alone to help to paint the lens through which I saw the world. I must say this, ladies, don't get upset with me, but boys tend to make things a lot less complicated. And yes, and they
I'm gonna take my coffee on that one. I'm gonna stay out of that.
And you see that they repair situations so easily. They could be in a squabble at lunchtime, and by 2 o'clock they're good and hugging and knocking, bro. So that was how I grew up. I grew up
Wow, okay.
with the backdrop of if things went wrong, they could easily be fixed. I then had the privilege to go to Rice University in Houston, Texas on athletic scholarship. And
awesome.
Yeah. And one day I had a big jump. I was a long jumper. And I had a huge jump, which actually ended up being the national record in Barbados for just about 20 years. And
congratulations.
Thank you. And that jump is what qualified me for the Olympic Games, the Centennial Olympic Games in Atlanta. So I went there all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. I was one of 5 athletes going to represent my country. And what people don't realize is that just before the games, we actually have practice meets to help keep you sharp. And I was going to be the last jumper because it started raining cats and dogs. And once they see lightning, they determined they're going to shut the meet down. So I was the last jumper. And I said, you know what, let me give it all I got because this is my last practice jump before the actual Olympic event. And I went blazing down that runway. I could hardly see. The rain was that hard. And when I hit the board, it would have been wet. My leg slipped from under me. And imagine as I'm launching into the air, I could feel my leg would have torn in 3 places. And I would have crumpled in the sand. And it was just traumatic. It was like a horror story because as I looked around, imagine seeing the stands clearing out. It was raining that hard. Everybody's going home. You were left there alone, first of all, hurting physically. And then with the trauma that, oh my gosh, I have just experienced the highest and lowest point of my life at the exact same time.
Wow.
Yeah. Needless to say, I found out that you run out of tears after 2 days. I can laugh now, but I would have cried nonstop for 2 days. I wouldn't have eaten for 2 days, and then I hopped up and said, I gotta try to make this is the Olympics. I still have to try to make the best of it. And I got back up and started going to the events and so forth, trying to get my frame of mind in a better space. But you could only imagine.
Yeah.
You could only imagine. I would have come home after that. I would have been depressed, I would say, for, I'm guessing 3 to 4 months, because it would have been summer anyhow. There was no school to go to. And you're just with your thoughts. And your thoughts have a way of really helping you to spiral. So I was convinced that once I walked through the door, people were looking at me like, look at that failure. Look, went to represent our country, couldn't even start the event. That was what I was hearing in my head. And after a few months, I had to make a decision. I realized no one is coming to save me. No one is coming to make me feel better. And that's when I, kind of snapped out of, oh, pity me, to look, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's get back to life and let's go hard at it. That's what I'm good at. Let's go.
You did that. Okay, there's a lot there, a lot of meat on that bone for sure. So did you ever, fast forward us a little bit, did you ever get back to a place where you're back being involved athletically in sports, or was that the end of your sports career completely?
That wasn't the end. One thing athletes will tell you about injury, you do heal. But, so I did compete after that once school started back, but your mind space is different. Because number one, the Olympics comes around once every 4 years.
Yes.
You don't walk in expectation of being automatically there in year 4. You just kind of, you almost feel like that was your one shot. That was your opportunity and you missed it, So there was having to live with that. And then even as you started back competing, you were always a bit, psychologically, you had to get over being tentative because you're nervous that you might re-injure the same muscles.
And that's when you get hurt.
Yes, So even things that helped you dominate in the first place, like truly attacking the board with full speed, you're not, it takes a long time to get back there mentally, because the body remembers what went wrong last time. So it was a lot of hurdles to psychologically jump over.
No, I hear that. There's a couple of things that I can say you left out, but I want to try to fill in the gaps a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You are in a situation where you are definitely a part of a team, clearly, right?
Yes.
So that means you had teammates, you had coaches, and then of course your family. I didn't hear the perspective from them on the situation when it happened. Were they supportive? Were they present? Were they encouraging? Were they kind of, I don't know what to say, so I'm kind of just step back? What was your family response first, and then your response from your coach and your teammates?
Yeah. The most painful part was, to be honest, more painful than the physical injury was, how do I call my parents and tell them the dream is over? I hesitated so many times. I didn't know what to do, what to say, how to do it, that was the part that burdened me, Yeah. And being loving parents, of course, they wanted the best for me, but at the same time, they were like, it's going to be all right, Sherry. You're going to be okay. And that obviously is what helped me through. Because I think no matter what age you are, you never want to feel like a disappointment to your parents. You never want to let them down. Sure. So just to hear that it's going to be all right meant a lot. In terms of my teammates, it was tough for them. And what do? Like you don't want to come and tell me the cliche things like it's going to be okay, because it didn't feel as if it was going to be okay. Makes sense. So in fairness to them, they give me space. They only intervene or helped with something if I asked.
Okay.
Yeah, and they would have seen my trauma, because imagine then for the opening ceremony, who's the person delegated to take the team photo? Me. So imagine I'm not
Wow.
in my own team photo, things like that.
Wow.
Yeah, it was rough. It was rough.
Wow.
But to be honest with you, when you go through something like that, you the way people might respond to trauma and distress and tragedy thereafter is not how you respond to it, because in your mind you've already been broken. It can't get worse than that experience.
Hmm.
So because of that, a lot of things that would floor people now don't really faze me. You know, and coming out of that, I learned that you have to speak to yourself. You have to bring yourself out of your funk. You can't wait for anybody else to do it for you. You have to do it yourself. And that helped me give a lot of guidance to others in terms of transformation. A lot of how you're able to break free from stuff keeping you bound is literally through your thinking.
Hmm.
Your
Okay.
thinking dictates your actions dictate your behavior. If you can manage that thing called your thought process, you can dominate anything in life. My thoughts
Wow.
help me recover. My thoughts help me move past, you know, that experience to how can we continue to be, you know, your best self. All about
Okay.
your thought life.
I love that. I love that. I want to ask, anytime I have a chance to interview an athlete, which I've done several times on this show, I gotta ask this question.
Mm-hmm.
Even though you were very good at what you were going into the Olympics for, you still had the opportunity to say yes or no. Can you explain for our listeners and viewers what drove you to want to do this in the first place? Why did you want to be on the world stage and compete on that level? What was it about you or your mindset or what you were thinking or feeling that made you want to do that?
Mm. That's an interesting question. And I'll start by saying this. I don't even know if Olympics was front of mind when I qualified for it.
Okay.
I qualified out of vexation at my coach, who had grounded me for
What?
going to a meet in California because I missed a team meeting, right?
Wow. Okay.
So my blazing down the runway and qualifying was out of raw anger. It was only afterwards when I'm like, oh, I did what? A national record? Oh, and I qualified for what? Oh, how did I get here?
Wow. Okay.
How did I get here? But I will say this, I always operated in a spirit of excellence, in the
Okay.
sense that you feel purpose driven when whatever skills and talents are deposited in you, you're able to intentionally maximize the output, right? And that
Okay.
in turn turns into something. It turned into the Olympic Games. For other people, it might not be that level of competition, but it might be something else that their heart always desired. When you really try to take what is in you, harness it, and pull out all that you can, that's when you truly get that self-actualization and you feel that you've really lived life on purpose. So that is my Olympic experience, arising out of the desire to just give of my best at all times.
What did you learn about yourself when it comes to disciplines and having a routine and maintaining a routine? Because I'm sure people are watching and listening that they do, maybe not athletic, but they do things in life that require disciplines and
Mhm.
routine. If you watch any of our shows, you know that I talk about that a lot because it's a big part of my life. What did you learn about you in the process when it comes to disciplines and routines and maintaining consistency? What did you learn about yourself in that?
Mm. One thing I would tell you is that if it were up to me, I would not be the most disciplined. However, listen
Hmm.
carefully. And I
I'm
think
listening.
people need to hear this and it will help give them some grace. I never wanted to train. I never wanted to run around the track during the warm up. I was the laziest athlete there was. But guess what I wanted to do?
Oh my goodness.
I
Okay.
wanted to win, right?
Okay.
And winning meant that I had to put in X amount of drills. Winning meant that I had to go to the weight room X amount of times a week and put in the work. So one of the things people have to realize is whether you like it or not, and I didn't like it, put in the work anyways. Because people often equate that discipline has to be something you enjoy doing. No. No. Some people are disciplined to the point that they find joy out of what they do, but I was disciplined because I wanted the end result, which was winning. So even though in the process I wasn't enthusiastic, I was going to do it anyways. And that's what discipline is, being committed to whatever tasks are at hand to make you succeed. That is discipline. One of the greatest superpowers that I had as an athlete, that really supplements discipline into walking into the land of greatness, is the superpower of being able to block out the noise.
That's powerful.
A lot of people can't get that done, right? So I made a decision, a conscious decision at 20 years old, that I was no longer going to care what people thought of me.
Wow, at 20 years old?
20 years old. Because okay. I went through a lot of my teenage life being insulted. I was like rake thin. No matter what I did, you couldn't see a muscle on me. You couldn't see. Couldn't see. There was I looked like the number one, all by itself, one, right? So during my teenage years, I was insulted mercilessly, and track and field actually was what I, converted that pain from the insults and so forth into as my fuel to get ahead. And at 20 years old, I said, you know what? I am great. God made me to be great. He made me just how he wanted me to be. Skinny little arms, dangly little legs, pointy knees. This is how he wanted me. So you know what? I think I'm going to be okay with that. And no matter what anybody says about me, that's a them problem. That has nothing to do with me, because God is happy with me just the way I am. And I made that decision at 20. And guess what? No amount of talking in my ear, no amount of trying to intimidate you. You can't intimidate me, because I see myself as operating for an audience of one. So,
that's beautiful.
You understand? Whatever you think of me, that's a you problem. And blocking out the noise means that I cut off any external voices. Blocking out the noise means that if ever I wanted to do something, I honed in on that like a laser. And nothing, no negative talk, not even my own doubts could get in my way of achieving what was at the end of that laser pointer. And when you operate like that, where you are about giving your best and operating for an audience of one, the results are way different.
I love that. Everything that you talked about from an athletic standpoint, I'm sure it translates into other parts of your life, and we'll try to get to that momentarily. But I know that sacrifice was definitely a big part of this entire process.
Yes.
Help demystify that for people who are watching and listening, who may think, you know what, you can get to this place without having to do as much. What did sacrifice actually cost you, whether it be in identity, in time, in relationships? What did sacrifice cost you ultimately?
Thank you for asking that. And that's something people don't really think about. Sacrifice sounds so brutal. Sacrifice sounds so like if you've given away so much and that it's hurting and painful. But guess what? When you make sacrifice a way of life, do you even see it as sacrifice? Let me explain. When you get into training 6 days a week, 3 hours a day, it became my normal. To other people, it was sacrifice. To me, it was my normal. When I made a decision not to really drink alcohol during most of my, I would say, teenage years and early 20s while I was training, some people would see that as sacrifice. I saw that as normal. So sacrifice is all relative, but when you make sacrifice a way of life, that is also something that gives you the strength to really climb the ladder in whatever you're doing. Sacrifice for me, for example, was nights before track meets, even though there was the best party about to happen. Guess what? I'm just not going to be there. But remember, the end result for me was to get on the podium. So others saw it as sacrifice. For me, it was a way of life. You can turn sacrificial acts into just your way of life. And that way you don't feel like if you are being crushed by the weight of giving up. You feel excited about what you're going to get for operating in this vein.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and pivot off of the Olympics and into more about Barbados and home. But I want to ask you, is anything about growing up in Barbados, St. James specifically, that kind of shaped your mentality as a competitor and as a person? Was anything about the area? Because I know that it's kind of glamorized in certain ways on magazines and websites and stuff. But is there anything about where you grew up that kind of shaped the mentality you had to be a competitor, to be the kind of person that you are today?
I would say that one thing about my country, we're friendly, we're beautiful, we are, listen, when you interact with us, we are the most happy-dory people you will ever get, right? One negative about us is that we can be critical. Culturally, we are just are critical. We will watch you at an event and cheer on for you when we know you're winning. But oh, dear goodness, if you're losing at all, oh, loss. Right? So when you competing for a country like mine, you need to be the best. You can't afford to have a bad day and take the verbal lashes that might be dished out. So I think it's against that background that you always strive for greatness. You always wanted to dominate, because lest you get talked about, as simple as that. So that alone was fuel to the fire.
Yeah. I'm just dealing with being called a Yankee. I don't know about all the other stuff. That's the only thing I'm dealing with when it comes to that. Being from New York, I wasn't from Barbados. I'm from New York City originally, so the whole Yankee thing, I heard that in my childhood. But good to hear that perspective, though. So let's talk about home a little bit. I mean, you stayed there and you did what many folks never really do in our time. You stayed where you grew up.
Yes.
And you didn't leave as an adult.
Yes.
Why did that happen? Besides the beautiful island and the deep blue sea, beside that good stuff. Why
you really want to know? You really want to? It's going to sound so simple that people might be like,
tell me. I want to hear it.
My people here say good morning. It's as simple as that. They say good morning, good afternoon, and good night. I live in a country where I feel seen. I would have been based in the US for 4 years. I did my master's in Puerto Rico for 2. But at home, I feel as if I matter. And you start realizing that way above any job and any paycheck, one of the greatest joys is to be in a land where you feel valued. If I go in a shop right now, somebody's going to say, hey, morning. And I'll be like, hey, morning. I've been seen. It's simple things like that culturally that made me want to come home. What I, however, do is travel many times a year. So I see the world. I am not insular or isolated here or anything like that. But the simple things in just being acknowledged as a person, when I was in Houston, I would have dealt with a couple of little discriminatory issues. I was like, no, I'm not staying out here. No. I'm not doing this to myself. Let me go back to where my people love me and cheer for me. As simple as that. As simple as that.
There's no place like home. I totally get it.
Correct.
Right. And the fact that you traveled, that means a lot, because I would have pushed back had you not said that you traveled around and been other places. I'd have been like, okay, you might be a little bit sheltered, but you're not. You've been around and you kind of
Oh, yeah.
tasted some other environments, and you know what you like, and what
Yes.
works for you. So that's good.
Yes, indeed.
There's probably a lot of answers to this question, but I only need one. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard for you to answer this question. I know it is. I know.
Let me hear
one
it.
answer though. Favorite food from Barbados that you can't do without. Favorite food. Just that one thing. Don't tell me 5 things because it made me hungry. Just tell me one thing. Favorite
For
food
me,
from Barbados.
it is macaroni pie.
Wait a minute. I never even heard of that. Are you kidding me?
Macaroni pie. We do a mean baked macaroni pie. Like nobody can throw down a macaroni pie like Bajans. We put some ingredients in there that you will now learn what the word flavor means. I mean, I can't give you all, but you will know what flavor means. Okay?
My mom never mentioned the macaroni pie. I don't know what this is. It's not what I expect you to say. So I'm like, give me some. What's in this stuff? What's happening? What's in the macaroni pie?
You have your basics of the macaroni.
Okay.
We do a kind of a cream sauce that ties it all together. You have your veg in there, your sweet potato, your onion to really bring out the flavor. You have your paprika at the top, your white pepper, your cheese, and then you bake it all. Some people like to put ketchup on top of theirs. Yeah. we just flavor it up.
I didn't hear any jerk or curry in there. So I'm like, okay, so I guess it's not
no.
Gonna be that. Okay. Macaroni pie. That's a fantastic
macaroni
answer.
Pie.
I love it. I wasn't expecting that. You got me. Good stuff. Kind of a 2-part question for you, Cherita, because I'd love to hear this because I have been back to Barbados twice in my life, and you have discussed that I need to get back there a lot more. This is definitely true.
Yes.
I'm thinking about it and working on it.
Good.
But there's always a perception about places like that. I know there's a big, at least early on historically, a big British influence there.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what that looks like.
Yes.
But at the same time, people want to travel somewhere to a nice place for vacation, getaways, and that kind of stuff. You see all the good parts of the area, but the parts that are hidden from the magazine and the cameras are the ones where things are not so great.
Yes.
Economically. Tell me what your view is of I guess you could say of your home economically, politically. You always said relationally with the mindset and the character, people saying good morning and good night to you. So I get that part. But how about politically and economically? What are you seeing that maybe we can be enlightened about?
Sure. Well, politically, we are extremely stable. So that is why a lot of international businesses set up here. Within the Caribbean, we are one of the most developed infrastructurally and in terms of our systems and of operation and so forth. So expats love to come here and set up business. They feel comfortable. It's almost like being at home for them. The Wi-Fi is running great, electricity in order, office spaces to go to. So from that perspective, it is phenomenal. Economically, I would like to think that our economists and our government have done so much, especially after COVID, to make sure that we are thriving. So, for example, our bus system, immediately after COVID, a lot of spending happened to make sure that tourists still keep coming. Tourists is our number one avenue of foreign exchange. So we have to keep you coming. We put emphasis on making sure our roads are in order. We make sure our government buildings are in order. We ensure that our airport looks sexy and that there are enough people at the gates when you're entering so you feel welcome. So a lot of what we have done is tailored to make visitors feel excited about coming, go away, tell more people, and then have more come to bring in that well-desired foreign exchange. So we're a small country, just 300,000 people. Like any country, we have our standard, teething issues. But overall, it is a destination that is just, I only realize how much like paradise it is when I go away and come back. And I'm like, oh, when I see it from the air, I'm like, oh, this is why people are paying thousands to get here, because we're literally a gem of the Caribbean Sea. You come and you can exist the way you did at home. and feel as if you have all the creature comforts close at hand. Or we're always striving to do better in terms of, our salaries and so forth, because the cost of living is high. It is high to live in Barbados. So you will feel the difference when you come from the US, for example. You'll be like, oh, this costs a lot. But we have got accustomed to that as a way of life. So yeah, I would say we have a good blend of everything, and we're always striving to make our systems better economically and politically.
I love it. That's my memories of being in the sea are they're still with me. I don't swim, but I remember that sea like it was yesterday. And I've been only 7, 8 years old when it happened. So I'm yeah, it's beautiful. What caused you the most concern about where you are in Barbados?
What causes me the most concern?
Yes.
I would say that obviously one of the things our Prime Minister is fighting a lot for is to ensure that if any major natural disasters happen, we can bounce back. We have been able to, in 1 year we had COVID, we had volcanic ash, we had a freak storm, and we did okay in terms of we're resilient people. But we are always trying to make sure we have enough funds and so forth in place so that, God forbid, we're a little dot in the Caribbean Sea. God forbid we get some major disaster, that we can really climb out of the doldrums. So I would say that's the biggest concern. Like any other country, we work a lot on trying to keep our crime levels down. And that is something that we will stick on continuously. We don't have crime compared to, say, Chicago or New York or any other country.
I don't like Cherita. I hear where you're going here. Watch out with that New York stuff. I hear you. No, I understand. You're right, though. You're right. It is a vast difference, I'm sure.
Yes.
Absolutely. Okay. Excellent concern. All right. Well, before we get out of here, I got to ask you about your book, Good God, A Single Girl's Rocky Path to Finding True Love.
Yeah.
Why did you write this? Why did you write this book? When did you write it? Why did you write it?
I wrote this over a number of years. And the joke is it all started from college days. I went down to college with this. I was one of those girls that was always expecting, Prince Charming on his white horse to come and save me, and I would be in love forever after and a day. And then I went to college and I realized, love doesn't exist down here. And from college, I would say to my 20s, it was extremely frustrating dating and finding people of quality. It was exhausting. And I wanted to give up, but I was like, no, I have so much love to give. And what I would say is that this book is pretty much captures a series of ridiculous events during that period of time, which, guess what? A lot of single women have experienced. But at the end of the book, you learn that whether you choose to stay single or you absolutely desire to get married, of utmost importance is being whole as a person. You want to be whole first. Don't talk about wanting this husband and you are broke, busted, and disgusted. You need to you need to make sure that you are in order before you even present yourself to somebody else. And I just wrote this book to give people hope, so they could see some of the stories and realize, it's not me just dealing with craziness. And most importantly, learn what to focus on. I went from being single to a family of 4 in 2 years. Don't ask, 2 years. And the person was right in front of me all along. Don't spend so much time looking for Prince Charming and people that might not be God's gift for you. So that's what the book is all about, and it's a fun read.
That sounds amazing.
Yes,
thank you. Single Girl's Rocky Path to Finding True Love. Thank you for being here. This was a fantastic conversation. I enjoyed hearing about Barbados and hearing about your life. You have an incredible story.
Thank you so much. And I hope it helps a lot of people. If ever you want to pursue the book, make sure you visit goodgodhelpmeout.com, and that will give you the link to where you can purchase goodgodhelpmeout.com. And I just want to keep people encouraged that you too can block out the noise. It doesn't just have to operate at intentional international athlete level. You can set boundaries and parameters to stay laser focused on whatever your dreams and desires are.
Thank you very much for sharing that. GoodGodHelpMeOut.com.
Yes.
Find out about this book and all of Cherita's work. Before you get out of here, Cherita, I'd love for you to speak to our audience, kind of let them know if you can go back and coach your younger self. What would you say to them, and speak to the audience at the same time? And then close out. Go ahead.
Love who you are. God created you just the way you are for a reason. He deposited certain skills, talents, abilities, and desires in you on purpose, for a purpose. Stop trying to be anybody else. Just focus on being the best you can be.
I love that. Author, speaker, Olympian, Cherita O'Dell. Thanks again for watching and listening. This is One-on-One with Mr. U. Of course, we are live right now on YouTube and Facebook. Of course, we'll have this episode up on listening platforms as soon as we can. Thanks again for making us part of your week. Cherita, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. The pleasure's all mine.
Have a great day.